Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Detox Dudes. Let's talk about a common question I get. Hey Detox Dude, what about fasting? Fasting is a very beautiful healing modality. I fasted. I did many water fasts. I think the longest I went was 5 or 6 days on water. I did many juice fasts. I think the longest I went was 12 days on juice fasting. And they're a beautiful, ancient way of healing. Now, the concept of fasting is that when you don't eat and you give your digestion a break, the body goes into a process called autolysis, where it starts cannibalizing all of the shit that doesn't serve the body. Bacteria, tumors, growths, fat, just excess junk that the body doesn't need. And essentially the body has its own doctor and its own priority system where it knows what to digest before muscle. Okay, so by all means, fasting is an ancient, incredible way of healing, and I'm not saying anything bad or that I don't agree with the concept of fasting. However, right now, I'm sorry to say that illness has swung to a pendulum, swung to the other end of the pendulum, far beyond what was imaginable even 100 or 200 years ago. This is because of increasing levels of toxicity and just many different factors that are involved, okay? And because we are in this sort of new era or this new paradigm or new uncharted territory when it comes to illness and toxicity, I believe that fasting needs to be done with caution, okay, and not in the beginning. The problems with fasting, and I'm telling you this from personal experience, are that an already weakened body cannot handle the mineral stripping that fasting does to a body. Okay, when we don't eat, we further deprive ourselves of nutrients. Now, why are we nutrient deficient? Well, a number of reasons. Number one, we're eating the processed foods, the processed BS. Number two, our vegetables are not filled with the same amount of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that they once were because our soils are depleted. Why are our soils depleted? Because we are stripping the soils of minerals by not giving the land a rest, right? See, since most farms are solely, there's a lot of pressure for farmers, a lot of pressure for large corporations to make money, and they maximize profits and they minimize connection to the land and the earthly law. An earthly natural law is that you must give land a rest in order for it to recover. And we're not doing that. And another issue is that we have monocrop farms with just carrots, farms with just cabbage and just tomatoes. And essentially these monocropped farms are further devoiding, if that's a word, further stripping the earth from minerals because there's no ecosystem in place. See, a carrot strips the same minerals from the earth every time. And if you only have carrots on land, you're stripping the same minerals from the earth, and there's no way of replenishing the minerals in the form, of decomposition and circulation of nutrients. Now, when you have an ecosystem, like for instance, an actual garden with many different crops and many different types of species, you get a circulation of nutrients, okay? As opposed to the stripping of nutrients on a monocrop farms. And also, by the way, these vegetables turn out to be much healthier when they are in an environment with other species. It's like an ecosystem, an immune system that takes place. So kind of like basically putting the same type of probiotics in your stomach, taking the same probiotics orally every day for 5 years. It's not going to do anything. You need an ecosystem. You need all kinds of different strands and species. So getting back to my point here, our soils are deficient, our vegetables are deficient. And when the vegetables are deficient, everything's deficient, because it all starts in the vegetables. The cows eat the grass, we eat the cows, right? So fasting further strips the body of minerals because you're not putting anything in the body, and it's total in excretion mode. You're in total excretion mode during fasting, stripping the body. Yeah, you're removing junk, but you're also removing minerals and electrolytes and your reserves. So that's why I don't like fasting, because most people are simply not healthy enough to be able to even tolerate it. And furthermore, most people have leaky gut. And, back in the day, fasting was a very good way of healing the gut, because you gave your digestive system a rest. But now, actually, in my experience, sometimes fasting can exacerbate leaky gut conditions, because you are just totally excreting all of your junk. And as you excrete the junk in your stool, the metals, the plastics, that stuff gets reabsorbed into the bloodstream through the holes of the mucous membrane of your intestines. So I think fasting would be much better off if people did a few months of leaky gut support before they embarked on fasting. But furthermore, the reason I don't love fasting is because I don't find it to be helpful in terms of the relationship with food. See, a huge people have an unhealthy relationship to food. A huge percentage of people have unhealthy relationship to food, and myself included back in the day. I used to overeat, okay, and I would have guilt. And the way I would deal with the guilt is I would fast. It would be like, okay, I ate way too much, and I ate junk food, and I ate all this crap. And the way I sort of compensated for it was like, all right, now I'm not going to eat for 3 days. And what that did is that created this pendulum of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then when I was done fasting, I was like a starving child who was desperate for food. And I would just, the next couple of days were just I was famished and just eating all day. And so it didn't help create this middle ground, this homeostasis for me with my relationship to food. In fact, it made it worse. So ultimately, my point here is that fasting is a cool tool. It's a good modality. See for yourself, know for yourself. See how it makes you feel, or how it... Look, another beautiful thing about fasting is that it really does strengthen your relationship to divine, universe, connection, source, God. It really does, because, well, I don't know exactly why, but, it's in the Bible. Jesus fasted. It's a really sort of divine tactic for connection. I find that for me, when I used to do a lot of fasting, it was like my body started shutting down all the non-essential... It's funny, there's a similar analogy. In jiu-jitsu, you choke people unconscious using their carotid arteries. The carotid arteries account for about 20% of the oxygen to the brain, and maybe even less. And when you cut off the carotid arteries on an individual, their brain shuts off all non-essential life functions, and consciousness is not an essential life function. It's more important that your heart's beating. It's more important that your lungs are expanding. So it actually shuts off consciousness, and that's why you see people get choked out unconscious, right? Maybe I should post a couple of videos of me choking people out unconscious. Fuck it, maybe I'll post a video in between here while I'm speaking of me choking people unconscious.
He's done. He's out.
Oh,
He's out.
snap.
He's out.
He's out cold?
He passed out. Yeah. Josh choked him out.
Ooh, is that legal?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's supposed to tap out. If he doesn't tap out, that's what happens.
Bill Cooper, Jared Platt. Championship reign. Bill Cooper, Jared Platt, Decatur James, and Mike DeBus. You're on deck.
Match 7, Polino Cruz from Gold Team. Polino Cruz from Gold Team, Match 7, or representative for Polino Cruz, Match 7.
Sound keeps spinning.
And we're back. I hope you enjoyed that. So, essentially, how this relates to what I was talking about is that when you fast, it's almost like all non-essential brain functions turn off. And this chatty monkey mind that we have is totally not essential. It's not part of our, it's not critical for our survival, in my opinion. And when you're fast and you're starving, it's like the body shuts down all non-essential stuff and just brings you into the most important concepts and aspects of reality. It's like, okay, we're going to make you present. We're going to have you connected to the land, connected to the divine. And, you know, it's as if you were surviving on the earth, you know, and had to hunt after a few days of not eating, you know. So, my point is that, I have a funny way of getting to my points, don't I? My point is that fasting is beautiful, it's incredible. See it for yourself, know for yourself, give it a shot. But ultimately, it didn't really help my health. The funny thing is that I was fasting, I was doing tea fasts. I would do 6-day hot tea fasts where I would drink hot tea all day, every day. And I had mercury fillings, and hot liquids increase the amount of mercury vapor released by like fucking 200% or more. So I was basically just smoking mercury every time I was doing my fasts. So maybe that's why I wasn't getting better. But even all in all, even that considered, I still don't see fasting as being this sort of ultimate way of detoxifying the body. I just don't see it as being a sustainable route. Though, you know, amazing things can happen during a fast. So there's pros and there's cons. It's definitely not so easy to just say, okay, I can just fast for 30 days or I'll fast for 40 days and I'll be like Jesus and my health will be totally solved. I mean, first of all, that's a hard fast to do. And second of all, I don't even know if that's healthy at this point with how nutrient deficient we are as a collective. So, hope you enjoyed the show. And, yeah. Peace.